Hey there planners, today I want to share a new tool that I have incorporated into my work planning system. So go grab your planners and let's get planning. So it's been a while since I gave an update on my work planning system, and that is because mainly I have been in a bit of flux. The last time I gave an update, I was sharing with you all my OneNote planning system and even did a tutorial on how to build some aspects of that OneNote planning system, and I will have all of that listed down in the description box below. You guys loved that video. I loved that system. It was really working for a long time. And then it wasn't. And it's hard for me to even describe what exactly changed. I know that I got a lot busier. The scope of work that I was covering became more diverse. And I was feeling a bit disconnected from my work planning system and my work, and not really feeling like I could get my arms around what I needed to do and prioritization and all of those aspects. So I decided to pivot, as we often need to do in our planning systems, based on the circumstances, and try something different. Today I'm going to share that with you. Before I dive right in, I do want to say welcome to those of you who are new to Planning Annie. We are super excited you're here. We are a community of planner enthusiasts. We love to be productive. We love to get things done. We love to nail a to-do list and cross things off and balance our work and life. We also love creative outlets like journaling and all of the tools and stationery, all of that associated with using our planners. So if that sounds like something you enjoy, we do hope you'll consider subscribing and becoming a permanent part of our community. For those of you who are tuning in regularly, I'm so glad you're back. I'm excited to get into this with you because I'm hoping that this is going to solve some of the issues I was having with my work planning system. I still am using my OneNote planning system, but I've changed the way I use it. And I think you'll see that as I flip through here. So let's talk about what this is first of all. This is a B5 dot grid notebook from Scribbles That Matter. The cover is white. It's very simple. It comes with a pin loop and a strap. It's a very simple notebook, and I picked this up to do a little bit of bullet journaling. And it has been a while since I have used a very traditional, all-inclusive work bullet journal. And that's what I'm going back to. I felt the need to be more hands-on to help me feel more connected to my work, and I felt like this might be the answer. So I'm going to flip through how I've set this up. So before I open it up and start flipping through, I do want to say there are going to be things that are blurred out or blocked out, and that's because there are aspects of my job that are confidential. I'm sure you all understand there are aspects of your life that you wouldn't want shared on the World Wide Web either. So hopefully I'll be able to share enough that you can get the idea of how I've set this up. When we open up the front cover, I've done just a couple things. The Scribbles That Matter notebook comes with this little table here right up front for you to be able to add in a key for your bullets that you're using, as well as color coding or anything else you want to put, just a little key here for how you're going to use it. Now, I have been using a quasi bullet journal way of taking notes for years and years and years, so I felt like I had my key pretty much memorized, but I wanted to just kind of go back to roots and really embrace bullet journaling. So I went ahead and put in a key, and you'll see I've got a bullet point that I use for notes, a dash that I use for subnotes. I've got different designators for action items. So an open box is an action, halfway closed means it's started, fully closed is complete. I've got demarcations that I use for canceled items, migrated items, delegated items, questions to ask, important things to communicate. And then I also use a color coding system for specific projects that I'm working on or specific areas of responsibility. And I color coordinate between the notes that I'm writing, my Outlook calendar, and being able to color code items related to these specific projects or areas, as well as in OneNote and all the other areas, just trying to keep everything very color coded. I've got my contact information here, and then I actually stuck a little pocket. This is a sticky pocket that I got in a pack off Amazon. I'll have everything I talk about here, I'll have listed down in the description box below in case you're interested in checking it out. If I missed something, feel free to ask. So I've got a little sticky pocket here that I can put stuff in like these. These are some dot stickers, and I'm just keeping them right there in the front for, if I want to use them in this planner. All right, next page is that kind of that wonky page, where you've got, the two pages are sort of sewn together. So what I did with this is just turn this into an inbox. You're going to see headers like this throughout. These are actually wooden alphabet stamps. They look like this. I absolutely love these things. I love the look that it gives. It's sort of typewriter font. They're super simple to use. You just stamp, and I actually use Tombows to color, on the color and then stamp that way instead of using like a traditional ink pad. Anyway, you'll see that throughout. I kept this as neutral as possible, very simple. I've got a bunch of sticky notes here, and that's because sometimes things come in, I don't have time to process them in my system in the correct place, but I want to capture them so that I can come back to them later. So this is a place that I come to fairly often. I've got another sticky pocket here, and I've just got some monthly tabs, and you'll see I've got a monthly tab here that I'm already using, some monthly tabs here that I'll use as I progress through the months of the year. So inbox page, this is going to be really handy. The Scribbles That Matter notebooks come with a pre-printed index. I kept this just like it is. I haven't filled anything out. I am going to try very hard to use this as an index because it makes sense in a bullet journal where I'm going to have page, turn the page, do the thing. I might have some need to reference that later. So I am planning to use this. And in the Scribbles That Matter, there are actually 4 full pages of index. So this should be plenty for me. All right, then we get into some of the more traditional bullet journal setup. You will notice that this is minimal. This is very minimal. I did draw in these calendars, and let me tell you, it's been a long time since I drew in calendars, and it's sort of like a cathartic activity for me. Something about drawing these little calendars, it's painful, and by the time you get to like September, your hand is hurting, you're a little bit frustrated, you've had to use whiteout several times, but something about completing it and having a page of hand-drawn calendars is very nice. So that's what this is. I did use some stickers from Virgo and paper here for the monthly titles and then for the year. But this is a year at a glance, and I will use this in conjunction with the next couple of spreads, which is time off tracking. So I've got a place to track my time off, and as well as, my vacation balance, my holiday balance, my sick time, all of that stuff, and just keep like a running total, running balance of each of those areas. Just keeping track of my time off in a way that I can see it visually next to the calendar. The next 2 spreads are very much like this. I have one that is just a list of time that I have planned to take off because I want to keep track of that as well, even though I haven't actually taken it yet. So this page will be planned, and then the previous page, that list will be, it's actually happened and I've taken the time off because not everything goes to plan. I also am tracking, this is a year at a glance printable. I believe this came from Day Designer as a free printable year at a glance for 2024. I just printed it on really thin paper, cut it out, pasted it in onto this page, and I am using this to track the days that I am in office. So I am a hybrid worker, meaning that I sometimes work remotely and sometimes work in the office, and I like to track the days that I'm in the office. So that's what this tracker is for. All of those are sort of time tracking and calendar type tracking. All right, next page I have set up is all about my goals. And I tried to keep this very simple, but I wanted a place to be able to reflect on my goals when I want to ground myself in what I'm doing, as well as to capture some notes so that I don't forget what I'm doing each quarter. And so the way I've got this set up, this first column here is the actual goals. The second column is the percentage, the goal weight, so the percentage of time I should be spending on these goals or how these goals are weighted for me. And then I have Q1, 2, 3, and 4 here with a little spot for each goal to be able to just make a few very simple bullet points and notes about key things that happened in that quarter related to that goal. And This is what I'm talking about when I say wanting to be more hands-on. So I had this very set up in OneNote. And for some reason, going into the table in OneNote and typing, I felt disconnected from the work. And so I'm hoping that this more hands-on tactile approach will bring me back closer to the work so that I feel like I literally have my hands and arms around what I'm doing and what I need to be doing. So I don't know if that makes sense to anybody but me. I would love to hear down in the comments below. Does that make sense to you? Have you ever felt that way? Do you think I'm absolutely crazy? And what am I doing? OneNote is the tool of the future. Just let me know down in the comments below. There's no bad opinions here. I just would love to hear what you think. Okay. Next, I have a place to additional place to capture achievements. These may or may not be related to my goals, but I have Q1, 2, 3, and 4. And these are just places to put, what I have done, kudos that I got, things that I accomplished from a work standpoint, development items that, went well and were completed. This is a place for me to give myself and remind myself of the good things that I've accomplished. I have nothing on the page so far. I need to populate, so I'm sure there have been some. This top part of this page is all about my development. I will make notes about the development activities that I'm engaged in, different projects that I'm taking on, training that I'm doing, things like that, all my development activities. I just want to keep track of how I'm developing myself. This is a place where I feel like I own this, as well as, any assigned activities. I really have ownership for my own development, so I want to make sure I'm tracking that here. And then I have 2 spots down here at the bottom. One is for mentors and one is for mentees. This is folks who I consider to be mentors to me, either officially or unofficially. And then I also have folks that I am officially a mentor to. And so just keeping a running list of that, because things change, people leave, people get added, roles change, things like that. So just keeping up with all of that. All right, these next 2 spreads have a lot going on. And of course, I'm going to have some things blurred out, but I think there will be plenty here for me to be able to talk about what this is. So I have 2 large leadership type, oversight type meetings that I am responsible to manage content, presentations, attendees, scheduling, all of the things. And those represent sort of ongoing, every week, every month type work, because it's more than just the meeting occurring. It's all the things, the activities that have to be managed to make sure that meeting occurs. It's okay if you don't have a meeting like that you manage, but I'm willing to bet in your life you have something that you're responsible for that actually takes multiple actions to make sure it happens. So just think in terms of that. Think about something that you're responsible for that you actually have to back up from that thing that occurs on a regular basis and do many things to make sure that happens. And I'll give you a quick example. In my household, I'm the one that does the grocery shopping primarily. In order to do the grocery shopping, I have to meal plan and figure out what it is that we're going to be eating. I have to ask everybody and collect everybody's input on what is it that we are, that they need personally, or that they have a request for at the grocery store. I have to figure out if there are some sales going on that I want to take advantage of, and load those electronically onto my my valued customer card, so that I get that discount when I check out. And then I have to find time to go to the grocery store. So you see what I'm saying? There's multiple activities that you back up and have to complete. That's a very simple example, and you probably don't need a spread like this in your bullet journal to manage it. However, for the complexity and importance of these 2 forums that I manage, I need this complexity. So here's how this 2-page spread is laid out. Here in this top section, I have a list of the members of this committee. Now, it changes. I have actually used here and in many places throughout this bullet journal friction erasable pens, because things change. Committee members can be added or changed or move on to a different role and somebody else comes in, all of that stuff. So these are all written in friction because I can add different things as I need to. I have a little sticky note here that just says future agenda items. This is a quick place for me to capture if I'm in a meeting or, hear something. I fully intend to fill this sticky note up and then to have to replace it, because this is a temporary place where that will live. I have a more permanent place where those live electronically, but I needed a place just in case something comes up. This little section here is just a reminder to myself about once a quarter, this meeting covers a very specific topic, and just a reminder of what that topic includes and the type of material I need to prepare. That's just a little reminder to myself. And then over here, we have a breakdown of all of the steps. So step 9, all the way over here on the right, is actually when the meeting occurs. Backing up from that are all of the steps that I need to take, and they are detailed up here. So you can see step 6 is here. This is a final review. I also have listed who is responsible for each of those steps in these boxes. And then in this matrix down here, I actually have for each month when this meeting date occurs, backing up from that when each of these 9 steps needs to happen, the date that these need to happen. All of this is written in Friction Pen because, again, if one of these dates change, then all of the backed up things change. And because there are so many steps, there's overlapping activities. So while the May meeting is occurring and these steps are occurring, we are, as we get closer to the meeting date, we are beginning to plan for the June meeting and those steps are occurring. So the way I'm working with this is I will come in here and check this based on this little tab here. I can quickly turn to it, come in here and check this and make sure that I'm pulling these action items into my daily plan. And as they're completed, I come in here and highlight them so that I know that they are done. It's a lot to look at, but it is a great tool for me to be very hands-on and visually see what is coming up and what do I need to do. And because I have this and the next page that are also to manage, these are not very complex tasks, but they are things that have to be done at certain time and certain intervals. I needed to see a big view of this. This is another area where it was so much information in OneNote, I felt like I was just getting lost in it and I couldn't get my arms around it, where having a page that I actually turn to here, I think this is going to serve me a lot better. So that's one, and then here's the second one. Same thing. I've got the team members listed up here. I've got some blank space here because I'm not quite sure what I want to do with this. This meeting actually requires less steps, so I have them listed out, and then I have the meetings listed out so that I can also go through and highlight as things are done. So I think these 2 pages are going to be immensely helpful for me. They're going to be pages that I come to quite a bit, and I feel my mind feels like it can rest because all of the things that I need to do are captured here. It's just a matter of coming and picking the right one and coming back to this place regularly. And I'll talk about the method that I've put in place to make sure I do that. All right, I have one more meeting over here. This is a much smaller, only quarterly meeting, and I've just got some information to help me manage that on this side. And then I switch into projects. A large portion of my profession is related to projects and, large initiatives, things like that, managing those, providing oversight to those, coordinating those, things like that. And so I've got some project information in this bullet journal. Now, I will say I also have a tool that I use all the time, and that is my project Bible or my project binder. I have a whole video all about how I set that up. I'll have that listed down below if you are also in the business of managing projects or working on projects. I feel like everybody manages projects to some degree. Anything that requires 2 or 3 or 4 steps to get done, that's a project. So you could definitely benefit, everybody can benefit, I think, from some project focus and project management tools. But here in this bullet journal, I start out with a list of my projects. And this is just a running list, project name, who the sponsors are, What is the start date when I got assigned or started working on this? What is the end date? And what page number in this bullet journal do I have the charter on? Now, when I set this up, I went ahead and put all of the open projects right now all together. But as the year goes on, I imagine that new projects will come up, projects will close out, new projects will come up. And so somewhere in, further into this planner, I will have to set up a project charter page. And so that's why I've got the page number here so that I can keep a running list of where they're located in this notebook. So that's a project list. I also have a little cheat sheet for myself of project management cheat sheet. Some of this is the highest level information from my project management Bible. These are things that I just like to keep reference of. They're like, what are the things I need to be thinking about for each phase of projects? What are some of the constraints that I need to be thinking about? What are the stage gates and decision points and things like that? I just like to keep a reference of this. I know this stuff, but sometimes we forget what we know when we get really busy. And so it's nice to just have some visuals to kind of ground myself in when I feel like I need it. Next, I have a checklist for myself, and this is a very, I don't want to say personal as in personal information, but it is personalized to me. When I have a new project that comes my way, these are all the steps I need to take, and it includes everything from, hey, have an initial meeting with a sponsor or a key stakeholder and get their insights into why this is important. And also things like create a new project folder and color code it and make sure the color is available in Outlook, right? Like it's just all the little things that I need to do. And it's not that I don't know these things and use them regularly, but it's nice to have a checklist because what if I forget one? And then, I realize down the road, oops, I should have done that. So it's just nice to have it. I've got some extra dots down here to continue to add as I think of new things. So lots of good sort of reference information for myself on these two pages. And then I go into my actual project charter pages. I have not filled out this information because I wanted you to be able to see kind of what it looks like and the template that I'm using. So we've got, start date, end date, sponsors, opportunity, and that for me is a description of what's the problem we're trying to solve, or what's the opportunity we're trying to take advantage of. The goals and objectives, what are we trying to achieve? The specific deliverables, so what is it that we're going to be accountable or responsible to hand over at the end of this thing or throughout this effort. Scope, and that includes what's in scope and what's out of scope. A place to list team members, and then I've got a place for key milestones listed here. Now, all of this information will typically be contained in project management tools that are digital in nature. However, I want to have some key reference information here in this bullet journal for every project that I'm working on, because as I'm in other meetings or, in a one-on-one with my leader or talking to a team, I want to be able to come to this information and quickly reference it. And so I've got those pages set up. My color coding is indicated around the edge of the page, so you can see this is a project, same setup, same categories. This is a project that's color-coded green. I've got one that's orange. I've got one that's purple. So this is a great way for me to visually see what's going on with the project and have that reference information available. All right, and after I covered my project information, I just went right into weekly planning. I did not do a monthly calendar I'm kind of starting this in the middle of the month. I didn't do a monthly calendar because I don't think I need one right now. In the middle of the month, I may, as I approach the next month, I may find that I set one up. We'll see. I put a little tab here for February to indicate where that is. This is a very basic weekly setup, and I am going to have things blurred out here, but hopefully you can get the idea. So I've got a 3-column setup for the week where I've got events on the left-hand side, the date in the middle, and task on the right-hand side. And it's 1 week per page. So this is a week, this is a week. At the top, I've just stamped out the week number. I use week numbers quite a bit at work, so it's good to see week number for me. That's kind of the most important thing to see, but I also have the dates here in the middle. And then I use some color coding if I need to, and I check things off. Here's an example of where I may flip over to my calendar for, you know, those big forums that I manage, and I would say, okay, is there anything here that I need to pull in for the week? And I'll talk a little bit in a minute about how I do that. Okay, and so here the weeks are set up. I've got the weeks, and that is really as far as I've gone with weekly planning. As I turn the page, I just start the daily log. And so you can see I've got the title February log, and this is where I'm using my bullets and I'm making notes as I go through the day. If it's a note, if it's an action, if it's a question I need to ask, I'm putting those down and I'm just running through the page. And if right here is where today ends and right here is where tomorrow begins, I just pick right back up, put the title of the day and the date, and then I just keep right on going and log using each page. And this is where sort of the meat is, where a lot of the information is captured, but I can hold it in my hands. I can flip back and forth to it. I can highlight it. I can cross it out. I can flip to pages and put things where they need to be. So that's really what I was going for in this planner. All right, so that's really all I have set up so far. I do want to flip to the back because I've got a few things here that I think are good tools. I have put another large sticky pocket here, and I've got tucked into this just a extra piece of dot grid paper. And on one side, I've got my weekly review process. I'm going to have a video coming up soon updating my weekly review process because it's been a while since I talked about that. But basically, I've got reminders to myself of, step one, cleaning up, getting everything to current, statusing my inbox, all of that, capturing where the items come from, clarifying what those items are and assigning it. I've got brain dump triggers here to prompt myself to remember things to do. And then I've got my reoccurring task down here. On the other side, I have the weekly templates. So when I go to set up my weeks, I don't have to count boxes. I can just sort of hold this there, put this at the bottom of the page, hold this there, and then know, okay, this is where the marks go. And this is how I draw out my weeks. So that's a very handy little tool to keep in the back. And then also I've got this, which if you bullet journal at all, you should have one of these. And this is a grid spacing cheat sheet. So I've done this for rows. So you see here is rows. So if I want 5 rows with no spaces, I need, 8 blocks high columns that start here and here. If I want 4 rows with spaces, I need 10 blocks and they start here. And then when I flip it over, I've got the same thing for columns. So if I want to divide the page into 4 columns with no spaces, I need 8 blocks. And you can see the numbers across the top and along the side for how many total dots there are. This is a lifesaver when it comes to bullet journaling. I like to keep that just tucked right there so I can pull it out if I'm doing a new spread. If I decide to do that monthly calendar, I'll pull it out. And, in that case, I would use the 4 so I could have, 7 columns across the 2 pages. And then I would use, the 5 weeks or the 6 weeks here in the rows. So that's that tool. And then the last thing I have back here is just a little flip out with my color code. Because if something new comes up, if there's a new project that comes in, I have to assign it a color code. That's on my checklist. And I want to make sure that I remember, which colors I've already used. And how to assign a new one. So I pretty much know these by heart. If I add a whole lot more though, I may not. So keeping that right there just as a reference. And that is it. That's what I have set up for my work bullet journal right now. Again, I think this is going to be a great tool to help me get reconnected with my work and feel a bit more control. As OneNote is fantastic, but the ability to continuously expand and expand and expand, it's wonderful. It's also overwhelming. And that is where I ended up. And so I love OneNote as a tool. I am going to continue to use it for meeting notes and things that just make more sense electronically. Like I can't put images in here very easily. I can't go grab a screenshot of something and put it in this bullet journal very easily. But that is a great place OneNote is a great place to put those type of things. So there are some things that do just make more sense in OneNote. So I am going to continue to use it, but I just needed to step back and get more tactile. And I hope that makes sense. I hope that resonates. If you're feeling a bit disconnected, maybe this type of approach could help you get your arms around what you're working on. I would love to hear from those of you who have a work planning system that's working very good for you. What are you using? Have any of you felt this way before and needed to sort of pivot and do something differently, even if that means going from analog to digital or from digital to analog or some hybrid of the two? I'd love to hear all that down in the comments below. If you enjoyed the video, give me a thumbs up, subscribe to Planning Annie for more content like this, and as always, thanks for planning with me.